Hey guys, so today we're going to be demoing this router plate with Dust Shroud that SpeTool had sent me. And because my router table is pretty old, the plate didn't fit in the old table. So because of that, we're also going to be making a table for the top of this router box. So if you don't want to see that, you can skip ahead to 7 minutes and 30 seconds, I think it is. And then we'll start the demo on the plate. Otherwise, you can see how I built this table as well. All right, let's get into it. Hey guys, so I'm here at the router table. This is a Bosch RA1171. I had inherited it from my father a long time ago, and it's got to be 25, 30 years old. And it has a fence with dust collection on it, and it works pretty well when you're running pieces straight through. But if you have a piece that has odd shape to it and you need to maneuver it, you don't get close enough to the fence for it to really do anything. So that's one issue with this. And then the other issue is the adjustment screws on this plate don't hold anymore. And what happens is the back of the plate sometimes sinks below the table. And then your piece, when you're running it through, gets caught up on this lip here, which is definitely a big issue. So SpeTool has sent me a new router plate, and this router plate's a little bit bigger than the plate I have. And like I said, this thing's 25, 30 years old, so I don't know if it fits on a newer Bosch table or not. But this is about a quarter-inch too big in length and probably an eighth of an inch or so too big in width. So I'm going to make a new table for this before I install it. But not only does this have a plate, it also came with a dust shroud. And this dust shroud's a little bit different in that it has these brushes here, so you can actually, if I can get this pin lined up here, you can actually bring it closer to your workpiece. And your workpiece, if I take this starting pin out here, you're able to, all right, I got the starting pin out of there. And as I was saying, if you have a shape that has, or a piece that has an odd shape to it, I'm able to get this through the router and still have it close to this dust shroud. So it should, in theory, work better. We'll see when we give it a go. And in case you're wondering, this is a barbell jack for Olympic weights. You put the barbell in this spot here, you jack it up, it holds it, and then you can take the plate off and change it. So that's what that is. So anyway, the way I'm going to build this is I'm going to build it in two layers. The bottom layer is going to be 3/4 inch plywood. And then the top layer is going to be 1/2 inch plywood. And I'm going to route the table into the 1/2 inch, and it's going to sit on top of the 3/4 inch, and that should work out fine. So I'm going to quickly get this table built, and then we're going to test this plate out. So let's go. All right, so I just popped the old table off the router table. I'm just going to trace around it onto my 3/4 inch plywood. I'm going to trace the inside out just so I know roughly where the plate's going to go. And I'm going to take this over to the table saw to remove the long straight edge. So I'm just going to zip this through. And then I'll cut the remainder of this table out with the jigsaw. And then we're just going to use the flush trim bit on the router to clean up the edges. We're going to use the old table as the template to go around it. So I'm not going to spend too much time on videoing or going into much detail here. I just want to show quickly how I made the top. It was pretty simple, just because I was able to trace the old one or use the old one. All right, so like I said, just gonna flush trim this quickly. And for this, I have an up down spiral cut bit from Bits and Bits. I think it's a white side bit, I believe it was, and it works great. It's solid carbide. It works great. And now we're just drilling some holes to start my jigsaw on all four corners, and then we're just going to jig this out quickly. And I'll leave a link to that bit in the description in case you guys are interested in it. I don't get any commission or anything for that. It's not a sponsor. Alright, so just a quick little sanding here. Then I'm just this is just like an 1/8 inch round over to go around, just so I don't have a sharp edge there that's gonna splinter, or the veneer on the plywood is gonna peel back. So that's all I'm doing there. And then we'll test fit the plate. Fits great. So I'm just going to laminate now a piece of 1/2 inch over the top of this, which I did already. So the 1/2 inch is now laminated over the top, and now I'm just I'm using that washer to basically have a setback. So that's what's going to hold the plate up from sinking into the router table. So I'm going to cut that out. And that is more or less all there is to making this table. I did put in a piece of aluminum track to put fences on. So there we go. I'm just going to glue this together now, and that's really all there is to it. Fits good. And a little poly finish just to protect it, and we're back on the router table. So that's the track I was talking about. That's just the aluminum track that takes feather boards and fences and clamps. So to attach the plate to the table, I just used threaded inserts 1/4-20, and that was it. Alright, so the plate is now in the table. The table is now on top of the router box. And I have my round over bit in, starting pin in, and I'm ready to go. But I just wanted to show you that it came with 2 other plates. And I had no idea what this was for that was in the box until I put my bit in there, and then I realized it's hard to take these plates out, which are magnetic. So this little tool fits in the slots here, and you can pop the plates out with it. So that's what this little doohickey's for. All right, so I am going to give this first test without the dust shroud on, just to see how much chips fly. And then we're going to put the dust shroud on and continue to round this over. All right, so let's go. All right, so here we go with no dust shroud. Okay, while the top of the table didn't have much debris on it, I found when I opened the box, the router must have sucked it all down. I guess the router has a fan on it, and it creates some suction, and it pulled a lot of dust down in here. So I'm going to vacuum this out too, put the shroud on, and give it another go. So the plate is made of a pretty thick gauged aluminum and it has slots in it, and the shroud travels forward and backward in those slots, and then you can lock it down with those orange handles. Those are a pretty solid feeling aluminum, and they lock down in that slot with a T-nut. And I believe the shroud is 3D printed and it has a nice weight to it and it feels very solid. Okay, notice how there's nothing really blowing by the dust shroud. There's nothing going onto the table or much going onto the plate. It's all being collected. Unlike before, where it was just shooting right off the plate, right off the table, onto my bench, and all over the back of the floor. I didn't really notice it while I was doing it because I was paying attention to my routing, but once I walked around the shop, I saw it all over the place. So with the dust shroud, you can see here, it's collecting almost all of it. Huge improvement. All right, so as you can see, there's a little bit of dust on the plate. There's not nearly as much as before. If I zoom out a little, there's definitely a lot less on the table itself. There's a little bit here, and there's some that accumulated in the track here, but not much at all. And then I'm going to take the camera off the mount here. On the table itself, on my workbench, a little bit right here, but nothing came off the back really. Everything is clean back there. So for the most part, it sucked it all up. All right, so I opened the router box up again, and we did suck some into the box again. So I think what I might have to do is, I'm thinking not only these holes here, but the way this router bit is designed, it looks like there's a channel here, and I wonder if that is sucking air down and bringing debris down. Um, I'm guessing it probably does. I'm guessing this is like a clean out channel, and it's sucking debris down with that. So I think what I might do is I might throw like a flush trim bit on here and do a test with a flush trim bit on there to see how that goes. So let's do that next. All right, so for this test, I changed over to just a flush trim bit, and I just have a piece of poplar taped onto a piece of half-inch ply, which is my guide. Will the bearing will ride on here to cut the poplar. All right, so let's give this a go. And the reason why, again, the reason why I switched this bit is because I think that that chamfer bit had that channel that was directing the chips down into the router table. So let's see how this one does. All right, for this test, it looks like I forgot to either turn my mic on or I don't know what I did, but there's no audio. But that's not important. What's important is what's going on right now. So if you watch closely, you can see there's almost nothing coming onto the plate or onto the table. Everything now is going into the chute. And you'll also see after we finish this test, I'll open up the router box again, and way less debris went into the router box. So I definitely think it was that chamfer bit with that channel in it that was just sucking stuff into the table. So it worked much better with this. All right, so I'm off the tripod for this. So here's the results. So there is virtually no dust on the table itself. There's no dust on my workbench. The router plate does have some really, really fine dust, and that might just be static holding it to the plate, but most everything went down the chute as it should. Now let's just check inside the router table itself. All right, so there is very little dust in here, nowhere near as much as before with that other router bit. So I think the issue was that channel on that other bit was just directing everything into the base. But either way, I mean, the results I think are what you want. There's nothing in the shop. The shop's clean. All of the dust either got collected in the dust collection as it should have, or the little bit that went in the box, which is easy to vacuum out. So I think it was a success. All right, so what are my final thoughts on this plate with the dust collection shroud? Well, I think for flush trimming anything that's straight, that's going straight across it, I think my old fence with the dust collection in it worked just as well as this one. However, when you're routing something like this, where you can't actually get close to the fence because the shape of the piece won't let you, this absolutely works better. I'm able to work this whole piece around this bit, and everything's going into the dust collection. So this definitely works better than my old fence in that regard. So I think it's pretty good. I like it. The only thing I wish it had, and I looked on their website, and I didn't see this on their website, is a plate that has the adjustment for the router to go up and down. I think that would be great if they had that. It would be just so much easier to screw the router up and down through the top of the plate instead of having to reach under to adjust it, which is exactly how my old plate worked too. So yeah, so for the odd shaped piece like this dust shroud definitely works better. So if you do more than just flush trimming straight pieces, I think this dust shroud is worth it. An improvement over my old one, so I would recommend it. I just want to thank SpeTool for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.